Hi, and welcome back to Psychic Development Part 4. This is the center of an 8-part series. Obviously, 4 and 5 are the center. My name is Wendy James. I'm a professional psychic. I have been working as a professional psychic since 1994. And I own a company called Love Dragons. That's Love, L-U-V-D-R-A-G-O-N-S, Love Dragons. And I do psychic entertainment. I teach a lot of classes. And what I've decided is to help more people figure out how to do this for themselves, how to really expand themselves psychically. And I'm decided to break this up into little chunks, like anywhere from 10 to 20-minute chunks, so that you can digest what you've learned, practice what you've learned, tune back in and out of different sections when you're ready to refresh or practice a little bit more. But in this section, what we're going to be talking about is how to raise the vibration, how to sort of prepare your psychic space, how to get ready to actually do some of that psychic exercise or those psychic practices, whether you're going to read tarot, whether you're going to do a tea leaf reading, whether you're simply going to sit quietly and try and get in touch with some mediumship or some inner messages from within yourself. It's really important that you set the tone, that you really respect this whole process, being able to awaken your senses even further, being able to recognize that you're setting aside sacred space or sacred energy sets your subconscious in the right tone to be able to start to download information. And the more often you practice sort of preparing for your psychic work, whether you're going to do a little bit of a meditation beforehand, whether you're going to burn some incense or sit and do some drumming, a little bit of a meditation. You can do some grounding exercises and tools where you really picture yourself completely grounded in the earth element while you're doing your psychic stuff. It's really important that we don't lift too far off the ground and spend all of our time out in that ethereal space, that we're also extremely grounded in our day-to-day life and our day-to-day space and time. So it's important to envision ourselves or picture ourselves like a big tree fully rooted in, or to just picture ourselves part of the earthly element, the fact that we're physical beings, the fact that we're here, we're part of this living universe, we're part of this earth in the physical form, and to make sure that you're tuned in and that you're really grounded within that space while you're doing your psychic work, which is really about not being part of the physical realm. It's really about all the other stuff in between all the physical stuff. So what I'm requesting is that you also set aside time to recognize that you are a physical being in a spiritual experience, a spiritual being having a physical experience, but that you are very grounded and that you're not going to lift off and get too flighty, too much stuck in the psychic stuff, but that you're going to come in and out of both comfortably. And the more you practice it, the easier it gets. One of the things that I really encourage people to do, I don't know if you've ever heard of smudging or burning incense or burning white sage or sometimes lavender or cedar to sort of clear and cleanse your psychic space. And white sage is not the same as cooking sage. It's not the same as your standard traditional cooking sage. This is a beautiful white sage, but it does grow very well, at least in Canada and in parts of North America. Once you get it started in your garden, oh my goodness, it smells so good. Once you get it started, it really establishes itself well. But this is not a sage that I want you to eat or to cook with, because it's not good for the belly and can kind of give you an upset stomach or not make you feel well. It's what it's really about is burning it and letting that scent open up and clear away negative energy, clear away any kind of stuck energy. It also heralds into your psychic self that you're about to go do some psychic work, that you're about to tune in and really start doing some good psychic stuff in there. Another thing that a lot of people burn is sweetgrass. Sweetgrass has a completely different scent to it. They call it sweetgrass because it's sweet smelling grass, and actually it tastes delicious as well. Oh, sweetgrass is, oh, it's just so wonderful. Sweetgrass raises the energy. Sweetgrass calls in positive vibration, positive energy. A lot of native practices will burn sweetgrass to call in the spirits of their loved ones, to call in positive energy, to bring in love and light and bright energy. They'll clear and cleanse with smudge and sage to get rid of low vibration, and then light sweetgrass to call in positive vibration. Sweetgrass is a wonderful, I grew this in my yard. I am not kidding, people. And it is amazing. Once it's established, it grows prolific. It's fantastic. It's the very first grass in the spring to bloom. You can smell it when you're driving sometimes and you've got your windows down. You can smell it roadside. It is so lovely and so beautiful smelling. But sweetgrass is another way to sort of clear your space, to raise the vibration, to get ready to do psychic work. Another thing is working with crystals. Bringing crystals into your workspace, and kind of crystal that works for you. All crystals are different. Every crystal, all measurable matter vibrates on a frequency, on a vibrational level. Crystals have their own frequency. They have their own vibration. Bringing them into your psychic space, bringing them into the space where you're going to be doing your meditations, while you're going to be doing any kind of psychic work and you want to get in touch with your own energies, bringing in sometimes amethyst, which is this beautiful purple stone that I'm wearing in this necklace right now, clear quartz, smoky quartz. There's so many great crystals, whatever you resonate with. Bringing it into your workspace or setting it up on the table that you're going to be doing some of your psychic work on helps to raise the vibration. Another thing that we all know about are how great it feels to light a candle. You know, when we're having a romantic dinner and we light a candle, it sets a tone. It changes the mood. Even just some nights when you're just looking to relax, you want to just change the vibration in your house and home or change the tone. Oftentimes we'll light candles, and it does. It shifts the mood. It lowers our hyperness and raises up a sense of peacefulness, a sense of calm. Candles are often something that people will bring into practicing their psychic work, where right before they're going to do some psychic work, they may light a candle or two, or have some candles lit while they're preparing their space, while they're getting out their psychic tools, say while they're preparing their cup of tea, if they're going to do a tea leaf reading. Candles are a great way to raise the vibration, to elevate the energy. I brought in some plants, healthy, vibrant, live plants, raise the vibration. We all know how wonderful it feels to walk into a place and a space that has gorgeous, lush, healthy plants within that space. And we all also know what it feels like to be sitting next to a plant that hasn't been taken care of, that hasn't been tended to. You can almost feel it there, just calling out for water, calling out for help. At least I can. I'm tuned so into plants. For me, working around healthy plants, plants that aren't covered in dust, sometimes taking the time to just wipe off your plants, to spritz them a little bit, to water the plants before you do some psychic work, can set the tone, can raise the vibration, can elevate that energy just before doing psychic work as well. Another way to really raise up your energy, of course, is to take good care of yourself, to make sure that you're eating healthy food, to make sure that you're speaking lovingly and kindly to yourself, to make sure that you're treating yourself with respect and dignity, to make sure that you have let go of, for at least the time that you're going to do the psychic work, the hubbub that runs around in our head. Giving yourself sacred time, giving yourself permission that this isn't a waste of time, that you practicing your psychic energy is good for your soul. It's going to help you sleep better. It's good for your energy. And to give yourself permission to do that without any guilt, to not feel that it's a waste of time to do a meditation or to support yourself so tremendously. I encourage you to make sure that you pay attention to your dietary habits, to make sure that you're getting the rest that you need, to give yourself time to meditate as well. You know, of course, when you're actually sitting down to do the psychic work, if you want to eat something healthy before doing that, if that works for you, that's great. But to also be very aware of how you nurture and tend to yourself, how you treat yourself internally on the times in between doing your psychic work as well. Another way to raise your vibration, sometimes for some people, is to sing or to dance or to hum. Some people like to use aromatherapy, and they'll use essential oils to sort of open up psychically, to sometimes burn different things like frankincense or myrrh. These are beautiful resins that you can buy often at local psychic shops or incense stores, are these types of things. To recognize that you don't have to do what everybody else does. process, and you certainly don't have to spend any amount of money at all on getting ready to do psychic work. You can do this very peacefully and very quietly from within your own home. Sometimes just putting on music that revs you up, or music that soothes you and helps you feel very grounded, helps you remind yourself that you're connected to all that is, to remind yourself that you're part of this amazing living universe. Sometimes doing that will help you get ready to do your psychic work. What I want you to do is get really excited about this process. I want you to really spend some time thinking about what gets you in an open frame of mind. What small activity or small things help you shift your focus from the busyness of your day to sometimes the quieter mind. It could be drumming, meditating, as we talked about, sometimes chanting, just being able to sit and just get into a very peaceful, repetitive chant, burning candles, saying a prayer sometimes gets people in the right frame of mind to be able to call out to your higher power, or to ask your spirit guides to come and to join you by doing a good prayer and opening up that way to do your psychic work. What I also encourage for people, and I'm looking at my notes up here, that's where my eyes are going, is to recognize that we also need to expand our psychic self by acts of kindness and compassion. And what I mean by that is, as you work on your psychic energy and as you continue to build your own psychic energy, what you'll find is a very strong need within yourself to help others, to get involved in some kind of outreach, to help others expand themselves. If you've got two of something, to pass one forward, you'll find that you are much more compelled to want to give outreach or volunteer, whether it's at a soup kitchen, whether you're reading to people in hospice or playing chess with people who are in hospice, being able to sit with animals while they're coming out of anesthesia. Sometimes at some vets, they just ask for volunteers to come and just pet those animals while they're waking up from anesthesia. There's so many different ways to give something back to our community and to the world in general. And oftentimes, as you're developing psychically, you'll find that that also goes hand in hand with acts of outreach, with a desire to experience and express your compassion for your fellow man, to be able to donate things, to give of yourself. You'll find you're not as attached to your material things. You're not as attached to your belongings. So it doesn't mean that you're going to become suddenly a minimalist unless you want to, and that's awesome. But it is more about recognizing a non-attachment to the material world, an acknowledgement that we are these beautiful, bright light beings, and that what we have and our status and our fame, the money that we have, sure, it's wonderful to be set up and to have good money, but it isn't about better or power, or it isn't about having more than the other guy. It's not about power. It's about really living to our fullest potential. It's really about being able to be okay and happy with who we ultimately are at the end of the day, and to love ourselves and those who we choose to surround ourselves with. Another important way to raise your own personal vibration, to raise your own energy up to a level that is high frequency and bubblier, is to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with positive people, to surround yourself with people that support you, people who unconditionally love you the way that you should unconditionally love yourself. You're worth it. You're worthy of the best love that's out there. And to allow that into our lives ultimately opens us up psychically as well. Sometimes as you're developing psychically, you find that you have some habits, or you surround yourself with some people that aren't necessarily for your highest good. And one of the beautiful things about expanding and opening up psychically is that you naturally wean away from things that aren't for your highest good, for habits that aren't for your highest good, for being around negative people or people who really cut you down or bring you down. You'll find, without it being abrupt, without it being harsh, that you very naturally start to wean yourself away from those types of people, which ultimately raises your own vibration. Over these years in my career, I have a lot of people that come to me and say that they're anxious because when they start to develop psychically, all they're really picking up on is negative stuff. They'll pick up on somebody being ill, or someone passing away, or a car accident that they might feel, or maybe standing next to someone who is a very negative person, or someone who has maybe ill intentions. And what I make sure I'd let people know is that the reason you're so much picking up on what appears to feel negative, again, from the first section, when we did part 1, we talked about information is neutral. That is really important, that we don't look at it on a scale of something's more important or better, or something's good or bad, that we simply download information as neutral information. But what I will say is that sometimes you can pick up really easily on low vibrational energies because it is so incredibly different than your own vibrational energy. Being around someone who is incredibly negative, or maybe isn't an honest individual, you can feel that. You can feel it because it's not who you are and how you resonate, and you can notice it a little bit more. But what I encourage people to also do is to recognize that as much as you can pick up on low vibration energies, sometimes scary stuff, maybe a haunted house, or again, somebody being honest or not, really easy to pick up on that once you tune in psychically. But to also know that you can also pick up on beautiful, loving energies, people that are joyous and high vibration, people that are full of love and light and joy. You eventually will be able to sense those people too. You'll also find that you're naturally drawn to people of like mind in your daily life. You'll find that you're ending up talking to other people who are open psychically or open spiritually quite naturally without you having to seek them out. Nothing wrong with seeking them out though. And I do encourage that you try to find people you can talk about what you're experiencing as you develop psychically, but to also recognize that you'll find that you're naturally drawn to people who resonate, people who look at things more positively, people who are also working on themselves, taking good care of their health and well-being and their bodies and their minds and their souls. And very naturally, the more you do that within your own journey, you'll find that you're aligning yourself very naturally with other people who live that type of life themselves. It's really amazing how this naturally unfolds the more we work on it, the more that the next direction opens up in front of us without us needing to rush, without us needing to know where it's going. It isn't about deciding I want to go from where I am today to learning these 7 things and I want to master them. It's more about deciding to start to walk the road and trusting that when you're ready to learn another lesson, when you're ready to take it to another level, that it'll naturally unfold for you. It's okay to stand still. While you're developing psychically, it's extremely important to stand still. People, we can't just sit there and read a lot and study a lot and not sit quietly and let it awaken and come alive and gently grow inside ourselves. That takes time. So I want you to be so patient with yourself while you're developing psychically, and for you to trust that even if you're not having an immediate result, that you're doing all the right steps and that it will open up. I also encourage people to wake up each day with a positive thought, a sense of gratitude and appreciation for the beautiful day you had, even if there were difficulties throughout that day, to be able to recognize good things that happen, to get into a practice of experiencing and expressing gratitude for exactly where you're standing in this part of your journey. Sometimes not easy to do, especially when we're going through a difficult time. But it's very important as we develop psychically that we are also celebrating exactly where we stand in each moment of our life, to be able to recognize I may not understand why this moment's happening, but eventually I will, but that I trust that it's happening with great purpose. And if I don't like the way things are going in my life, it's up to me to make the changes. It's up to me to recognize that I want to change patterns. It's up to me to disconnect from people that are no longer healthy for me, and that I'm not going to judge myself if I stayed for a long time, or if I'm afraid or maybe nervous of letting go. It's okay to take the time that you need. And a lot of people don't recognize how incredibly important it is to stand still, to sit and not have to make a decision right now. It's okay to stand in the middle of the fork in the road and be non-decisive. It's okay to give yourself that without judgment until it feels like it's time to make the right step or to make the right move. So Thank you for joining me again. Thank you for stepping into part 4 of the psychic development. It's really about, again, respecting the process, making sure that you're approaching it from a place with a sober heart, a sober mind, and quite literally sober. You can have your glass of wine or smoke your joint after the fact, but if you're really practicing psychically, it's really important that you respect the process and to not be clouded, to not be under the influence of chemicals in any way if possible, while you're doing your psychic work. I thank you for listening and for tuning in again. I wish you all a wonderful day and your wonderful experience expanding psychically. Again, my name is Wendy James. You're tuned into my YouTube channel. I encourage you to feel free to get in touch with me if you want to share some of your experience or if you want to talk about what you have gone through developing psychically. And again, thank you, and tune in for part 5. In part 5, I'm going to be talking about the collective pool of knowledge, about how to really get in touch with what you're seeing or what you're experiencing psychically, and how to interpret that as messages, how to trust it and learn to build that, and how to listen to the way your psychic self is speaking to you, which is unique. As I've said before, it's unique as your fingerprint, and it's all yours. Thank you again for tuning in. I wish you all a fantastic day. And again, remember, vibrate at the highest vibration. You are part of this beautiful living universe. You are limitless in your light energy, and that we all, every one of us, has psychic abilities.